from the local station. This is Weather Authority Weekday.
Well, good Wednesday morning, everyone. Meteorologist Chris Holtzman here. It's time for our Weather Authority Weekday stream, the Wednesday edition, and we are tracking more fog. I thought I would start out with today's stream to kind of explain the fog. I mean, it was so dense this morning when I was coming into work early on, and if you were out at any point, you certainly saw it very difficult to see what's in front of you. And this is kind of the setup that we had. A lot of that fog developed over the cooler ocean water. So onshore winds with cooler waters near the coast. Well, look what happens when we have that. So a warmer, moist air mass moves over the cooler waters. You can see that. So the wind flow is onshore, and here's what happens. Well, look at that. The warm air mass gets cooled by the water below. The air cools, becoming more saturated with moisture, and that allows that fog to develop. In fact, look at that. The saturation of the air leads to fog forming. And because we had that onshore wind this morning, that allowed that fog from the water to move onshore, which is why we had that dense fog. And this will be the same theme tomorrow as well. I do think some fog will linger along the coast for the rest of the day, but visibility has improved greatly, and I'll show you the cameras in just a moment to show that. But yeah, it was very hard. We had several accidents this morning. So again, anytime you see fog, you want to make sure you plan extra travel time and allow that stopping distance to be a bit greater, especially since it's hard to see what's in front of you. Now, over land, we can also get fog like that, where there's a strong breeze moving over the cooler ground. That allows the warmer, moist air to move over the cooler surface. And then what that does is allow fog to form. So really our setup was with the water, because our Atlantic waters are still cool this time of year, and with those warmer temperatures, that again allows saturation to occur, which allows that fog to develop across the area. By the way, you might be wondering, look at the map right there. So that's the number of days with dense fog across the country. And you can see here in Florida, between roughly, at least in our area, about 20 to 30 days of dense fog. So we certainly had one of them today. You see the greatest areas with days generally across the mountainous regions of West Virginia up into portions of northern New England, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, because mountains actually play a role as well and some of that fog formation. So pretty interesting information there, but again, we'll hopefully not see as much of a fog alert as we saw this morning. We had that dense fog advisory in effect through 10 o'clock. So they actually extended it an hour later, the Weather Service. And temperatures as a result, we cooled to the dew point because that allowed that fog to develop. And you'll notice our low temperature since midnight, generally in the 50s to right around 60 degrees. Now, much better shot of our camera. Remember, earlier this morning, if you were watching, you couldn't even see anything out of the camera. Julington Creek, we have sunshine around. Over to the temperature now, 66 degrees there, so a nice rebound in our temperature after starting out in the 50s. And then over in Jacksonville Beach, another good shot here because we couldn't even see anything this morning. That fog is lifted. Still some of that upper level haze you can see there in the distance. Over to Jacksonville, still seeing some upper level haze as well, but sunshine is finally making it to the ground. 72. How about that out there this morning? So temperatures after starting out in the 50s, we're now in the low 70s. Beautiful looking shot in Mayport, where we are tracking that northeasterly to northerly wind and great visibility now. So temperature there of about 68 degrees. And we do have that northerly wind around 3 miles per hour. So the setup that we have today, we have a large area of high pressure anchored off the southeast coast. Any impactful weather is right along that stalled front and cold front. That's where several inches of rain could fall from Texas all the way up into the upper Midwest, as that area of high pressure will block the rain, and the only track for that rain to go is around the high, so from southwest to northeast, and that's why they're expecting a very wet forecast. But over our area, we certainly could use that wet forecast. We don't really have it. Now, temperatures across the region right around 72 in McClenny. Lake City, we're at 70. 66 in Brunswick, upper 60s in Mayport. St. Augustine reporting upper 60s. Low 70s in Palatka. Green Cove Springs, we're at 73. Light wind is around, and that allowed that fog to develop this morning, but gusts are about 5 to 15 miles per hour. So as we head over the next couple of hours, look for those temperatures to climb into the 70s and even 80s across our area. We'll see a good amount of sunshine later today. Temperatures across our region now, depending on how long this fog situates itself, Glenn and Camden County in Georgia, we could have some sea fog along the coast for most of the day. That would delay our warming, which is why temperatures there could be in the upper 60s, whereas the rest of the region will climb into the 70s and even 80s across our area. So we'll be watching that closely, but just know that we are tracking above normal temperatures. Average high for this time of year, right around 72, and temperatures are running about 10 to even 15 degrees above normal. Futurecast verifies we do have that sunshine around, and then overnight tonight, some fog will develop. And there could be dents in some spots for the Thursday morning commute. So we'll do it all over again tomorrow. Make sure to plan extra travel time as temperatures will drop into the 50s and 60s across the area. High temperatures, by the way, tomorrow we are looking at a warmer day. Generally, most of us 70s and 80s, and some of us inland could be in the mid to even upper 80s. So how about that? Mother Nature going into spring. Yeah, it seems like we had the colder weather a couple of weeks ago. Not so much right now, as temperatures are certainly on the way up across our region. And Futurecast on Thursday shows that morning fog giving way to some sunshine. And well, there you go. I want to show you that on Futurecast. You see those reds popping up there? That's the potential for a couple of pop-up showers and storms. It looks like our inland locations have the best chance of seeing that. So where you see those yellows, even oranges and reds, that's indicating once again the heavier rain. So it looks like areas west of the St. Johns River could have the best chance of seeing a pop-up storm by Thursday. More of the same on Friday as well across our region as the humidity will start to climb. Now, in terms of our drought, this will be updated tomorrow, but our drought monitor shows about 85% or so of our area is in a extreme drought. That's the red on the map. Some of our Georgia zones are in a severe drought, but regardless, those deficits approaching 15 to even 20 inches of rain for many locations. So we need a widespread soaking rain, but really through the next 7 days, most of the rain will be around. And by the way, this is what I wanted to show you. Remember that high? So that rain was going from southwest to northeast. So you see the red popping up near Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma. That is where there will be repeated rounds of heavy rain riding along that high pressure, and that's where several inches of rain could fall. But because the high is right over us, any of that shading you see over Florida and Georgia is that isolated shower or storm chance through the rest of the week. And that's what Futurecast is showing in terms of our forecast. We are looking at that high to our east. We're getting that onshore flow into Thursday. There's some of that green popping up, indicating a quick hitting isolated shower or maybe even a storm. And then by Friday, more of the same as we are looking at into the afternoon. There's that pop-up shower or storm. Saturdays, we head for the run forecast into the area. We are looking at on Saturday in the morning temperatures by the time the event starts right around 70. Of course, we'd like it a bit cooler, right, to run, but overall it should be a dry forecast. We might have a little bit of fog in the morning. We'll see if that changes. Sometimes the data can change based on how low the temperatures get, but overall it does look like a dry forecast. Now, in terms of temperatures beyond this week, very high chance of above normal temperatures. In fact, and compared to our average high in the low 70s, probabilities are very high that temperatures will climb above the average of 72. And well, let me show you that our precip outlook as well, maybe a chance of a slightly above normal rainfall by the middle to the end of the upcoming month. Let's break down your 7-day forecast. We are looking at temperatures for the day today in the upper 70s and even some 80s. Now by Thursday, we're looking at temperatures in the low 80s, starting out the morning with fog and then a pop-up shower or storm into the end of the weekend. We'll see temperatures, how about that, mid to even upper 80s. So that is about, we'll say 10 to 15 degrees above normal with overnight lows in the 60s. But again, we are tracking a very isolated chance of showers. Near record highs are likely, and we are looking at a relatively dry forecast, though, in terms of no widespread rain coverage into the weekend and early next week, with those overnight lows eventually in the 60s. So that's a look at the weather across our area. What about the country? Well, I'll be back in just a few minutes with your national forecast. Everyone, well, let's take a look at our weather across the country because warmer temperatures are around across the south. We do have temperatures in the 70s and even some spots near 80. The cold is locked off to the north. With temperatures in the 30s and 40s in New England, you can see across the upper Midwest and across the areas to the north and west of, say, Denver, with temperatures in the 40s, but a large part of the south seeing warmer temperatures around. Now, the reason why temperatures are a little bit lower in our area, that fog has been around, and that's why we've been a bit slow to warm, but we'll continue to warm rapidly over the next couple of hours. Setup that we are tracking a severe weather setup for today across portions of Texas, Oklahoma, into Arkansas. That's that same spot, by the way, that was highlighted with that significant rain as those storms are going up and around that area of high pressure. That's the way the wind is in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So severe weather is possible to our west, and you will notice into Wednesday most of the rain along that front. So there is a warm front to the north, and you'll see what happens into a Wednesday. Some heavy rain, and that continues into the afternoon and evening with the potential for moisture from the Gulf to provide more rain and storms to areas to our north. Now, temperature-wise, well, there's that high right over us, as I just mentioned. Flow around the high pressure, well, that aids in above normal temperatures. So areas in the brightest red will see temperatures running about 20 to 30 degrees above normal or so. We're still expecting warmer temperatures here, but the most significant departure or change from normal in those areas with the darker red. Now, across the west, well, we could be getting some snow, which is good news, and even some rain across the Pacific Northwest. A new system will enter the Pacific Northwest, bringing rain and even mountain snow. And our rain potential through Friday, well, there it is. You can see the highest totals where, look at that, several inches will be possible across portions of Missouri into Illinois and even Indiana. So we can only hope that that gets here. But again, it's just too far to our north with that rainfall. Now, in terms of our setup into Thursday, in the morning, that system will lift northeast. There's all of that rain. And then as we head into the afternoon, that frontal system will bring rain chances to areas to the north, and where it's cold enough, you'll see into New England a change to a wintry mix to even snow. And that's where snow is expected across portions of Connecticut, New York, Pennsylvania, up into Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and northern New England. So if you have any friends or family there, they just got out of that blizzard, which dropped up to 3 feet of snow, and they're getting more winter weather this week, more specifically tomorrow and even this morning as well. But that activity will move to the northeast. And then our overall setup Thursday, you'll see that we do have widespread mountain snow around across the area, which is good news. By the way, have you ever been in a gondola that has a glass floor? Well, in Colorado, we were just talking about areas to the west. There's a new glass floor at Royal Gorge. This is pretty cool. Let's take a look at this and see if you can actually think about riding in one of these.
So this is the only chance you're going to have anywhere in the U.S. to look down beneath your feet as you glide smoothly across the gorge.
The Royal Gorge says that these new gondolas are the first of their kind in the U.S. They join the pre-existing fleet of regular gondolas that the park has been offering for years.
What's the experience going to be like for riders?
You get to look down there and immerse yourself in it. We're always looking for ways to make experiencing the gorge more fun. It's something to bring you closer than ever to the natural experience here.
The journey takes you 2,200 feet across the gorge. You're 1,200 feet up, or nearly the height of the Willis Tower.
And all of it with a clear glass floor underneath your feet.
This view down beneath us is almost as high as some of the tallest skyscrapers in the U.S. We get to look 1,200 feet down at the Arkansas River and these beautiful rock faces here. You can even see our Via Ferrata routes, our climbing routes down here sometimes. It's a beautiful view. You can sometimes see the train go beneath us and rafters. It's a beautiful experience.
The gondolas are included in park admission, so there's no extra charge to ride. Importantly, they're handicap accessible. And if you're one of those people who likes to bring your dog along for adventures, the park says they can ride too.
It always makes me so happy that we can give someone a memory that lasts them, hopefully, the rest of their life.
I don't know if I would do that. That looks pretty scary to me. I like the windows being clear so we can see out of them, but I don't know about the floor, especially being so high up there. But of course, many of you might like that, and certainly pretty cool they're starting that as you go over the gorge, thousands of feet up, but pretty cool there. But in the Colorado area, as I mentioned, more snow will be possible as we pull up our overall setup for Thursday, and we are tracking that potential for some rain and snow. By the way, there is a fire potential again, very high chance over Texas, and this is what we call, interestingly, that line you see is what we call a dry line, and that's separating a very dry air mass with a very moist air mass. So an upper level trough will aid in gusty winds and low humidity and the chances for dry thunderstorms. Yeah, that's something you don't see all the time, but that can happen out west, and that's where the fire threat will be highest. Even here locally, we're continuing to see that high fire threat. The wind is not as significant, but again, the ground is so dry. Now that severe threat on Thursday will still be over Texas and Oklahoma, with a system emerging from the Rockies giving the elevated chances for some showers and even some storms and temperatures. Well, look at that, close to 35 degrees warmer for many spots as we head into the day on Thursday. We're getting that southwesterly wind as that high is offshore, and that'll bring very warm temperatures into our area as that southwesterly wind is bringing around, and record high temperatures are even possible as well. By the way, across the Carolinas, I want to mention, this is an area that I worked at prior to coming to Jacksonville, and the area in South Carolina resides on a major fault line. They had a significant earthquake that destroyed all of Charleston back in the 1800s. I believe it was over a magnitude 7 or 8. And there's multiple earthquakes hitting the Midlands of South Carolina. That's the central part of the state near Columbia, and that has been really noticeable over the past couple of days. Let's head over to South Carolina to look at the earthquakes occurring over the past several weeks.
It's been a frightening few weeks in the Midlands. 5 earthquakes hitting the Lake Murray area in just 30 days, sparking fear.
It's pretty scary because I'm 57. And up until about a week or 2 weeks ago, I had never been through an earthquake.
Fabian Fuentes lives near Lake Murray and says the tremors are unusual for the area and caught him off guard.
The most recent one, my mom and I are sitting at the bank on Harbison Boulevard, and all of a sudden, just as she had described the first one, it sounded like a large explosion or like a bomb had hit.
According to the USGS, last week a 3.0 magnitude quake hit the Lake Murray area, making it the 4th in that region in a month. Early Sunday morning, some areas of the Midlands were rattled again, but it was later found that was from 3 detonations at Fort Jackson. But a 2.2 magnitude quake did hit Lake Murray on Sunday.
My gosh, if we have another earthquake or two, is that wall going to give way? And if it gives way, obviously, there's going to be trouble.
The Lake Murray Dam holds nearly 650 billion gallons of water and is made to withstand earthquakes up to a magnitude 7 earthquake. In a statement, a Dominion Energy spokesperson saying, quote, "With safety as our top priority, the Saluda Hydro facility meets rigorous safety criteria. This includes the backup dam, which was completed in 2005 and is designed to withstand the unlikely event of major seismic activity." Dominion Energy says employees inspected the dam after the recent quakes and it continues normal operations. Dan Frost, a USC geologist, says South Carolina has several fault lines and earthquakes aren't new to the Midlands.
If you were to look back at a historical map of seismicity in South Carolina, we've experienced many more earthquakes. When Lake Monticello was dammed in I think it was the 70s, there were hundreds of earthquakes in a month because of the additional loading of the water onto the ground. I don't think this is anything out of the ordinary for South Carolina.
Yeah, and he is completely right. I remember when I was in that area, there would be earthquakes pretty much like once a week, and they would be minimal earthquakes, meaning they're not terribly felt, but they can register in the 3.0 scale, and that's what the folks up there certainly looking at. A major fault line exists along that area. They have the highest frequency of earthquakes on the East Coast. So pretty interesting there, but back to our weather, and of course, we are looking at those warmer temperatures around, and then you can see our temperature forecast on Thursday. We are looking at below normal temperatures across the Northwest, and a ridge will keep temperatures above normal for most of the United States. So we are looking at some warmer weather around, and that'll be the forecast as we head into not only for Thursday, but through the rest of the week, even into the upcoming weekend. Look ahead over the next 3 days. Well, we do have that upper level system, so that's moving into the northwestern United States, bringing that disturbed weather. Here across Florida, there's that isolated chance of a shower. You can see that green over our state. More of the same on Friday and even in Georgia as well. So we will be watching that potential. And into Saturday and Sunday, which isn't on the map, we are tracking more of the same. And if you are heading to the run once again Saturday morning, it looks like we'll have temperatures near 70. It will be warmer. Of course, we like cooler temperatures when we run, but overall there could be more humidity as well. Hopefully we don't get as much fog. Definitely stay tuned to the forecast for that. But again, we are tracking a relatively at least similar pattern day by day with the chance for some fog each morning. And then by the afternoon, we are looking at those warmer temperatures. I do want to end today talking about space once again. So I've been talking about this the past couple of days, but our Hubble telescope from NASA, how cool is this? It detected a possible dark galaxy. So NASA says it found a galaxy that might have a more dark matter than anything ever discovered. So they say the Hubble Space Telescope detected what they're calling Candidate Dark Galaxy 2. How about that name? because they do give those names to areas of investigation. So this dark galaxy might be made up of at least 99.9% dark matter. That is really cool. And the matter is invisible, but researchers have ways of inferring it's there. So Hubble Space Telescope continues to make discoveries. And again, that is called Dark Galaxy 2 that NASA is investigating. Of course, we talked about Mars yesterday, the Hubble Space Telescope today. So a lot of fun things happening in space, always interesting discovering new things. But again, we'll update you if they have any more information on that story. But again, weather locally, we're tracking the relatively dry weather, warmer temperatures. It'll feel more like spring. Don't forget, by the way, Sunday morning, we have the clock set 1 hour ahead. We spring forward, and Mother Nature certainly feels like spring here with temperatures in the 80s and those overnight lows in the 60s. Of course, I'll be on at noon with the latest forecast, and then we'll be back this evening, and you can always get our latest forecast on air, online, and on our weather app. But right now, I hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday.
See why every day more people are choosing News4JAX, Northeast Florida and South Georgia's #1 source for local news.